So we just wrapped up the pod, but I'm homesick and I have some time, and I had a few more thoughts that I figured I'd put this out there really fast. So one of the things that came up is what's happening with the real estate market regarding cooling off. Like, is there an expectation that the market's going to cool off, and if it is, does it mean that buying right now is probably not a good idea? Um, and this comes up so often. You got to look at what the prime drivers are for a market, right? So instead of guessing, and the problem in with a lot of buyers is that they assume that the real estate market goes like this, okay? That it's up now, but it'll be down, and if it comes down, then that's a better time to buy. The reality is the real estate market goes like this, it goes like this, and sometimes it goes like this, right? But real estate doesn't come down. Like, there's not a municipality in the United States. Okay, that's probably not true. There's probably a municipality in the United States that has lost value over time. But you're talking like massive exterior issues, right? Like maybe Flint, Michigan, or something like that, where you have poisoned water. Okay, that's a different story. But if you look across the United States, there's not a municipality that is cheaper to live in today than it was in 1995 or 2005, right? I mean, things go up. The price of bread goes up. The price of milk goes up. Nothing. I mean, we don't see anything come down unless it becomes obsolete. So that's number one, right? So in an appreciating market, the best time to buy is today. Okay. The second best time to buy is tomorrow. The worst time to buy is whatever the end date is, right? Because it's going up in value. With that being the case, what are the prime drivers that led to this real estate market being the way it is? And what is the prediction, right? So is there an opportunity to just sit, wait, and then purchase something later? Um, I don't see that as a reality. Okay. So 2022 is going to be an extremely hot market, right? So I think that NAR is expecting like a 7.7% price increase across the United States in 2022 on listed properties. So that's hot. That's a hot market. Okay. The problem is 2023 may not have a 7% increase, but it's not going to come down 7% to get you back to today. Okay. So it's expected to, maybe it'll be a 2.8% increase, right? But that's cumulative. That's on top of today's increase. So at least over the next few years, I would assume over the next 5 to 10 years, we're going to see a constantly increasing market no matter what. Okay, so let's get into what I think those prime drivers are. So I think the 2022 prime mover is going to be the Fed interest hikes. Okay, and there's expected to be three of them. And just to be clear, how interest rate hikes work is as the rate increases, the amount of home you can afford decreases. Okay, so if today rates are 3% and tomorrow they're 4%, the same home that I would buy today, I will pay more money for tomorrow. And since most Americans buy homes basically at the top of their budget, okay, um, that means that you're getting less home for your dollar tomorrow. Okay, so with three rate hikes on the horizon, that means that you'll be buying a smaller home or a less perfect home. Okay, let's put it that way. For the same amount of money. Okay, or you're buying the same, or you're buying the same home for more money. So with that being the case, and most people not wanting to just pay more money if they have an opportunity to avoid paying more money, right there, right? That's going to be a prime driver for this massive growth in 2022. Now, beyond that, what are the drivers that are going to keep the market humming, even at that increased cost? So, number one, what I would say is right now there's a 4.9 million unit housing shortage in the United States. 4.9 million. And a massive part of that housing shortage is North Jersey. Okay, North Jersey, Eastern Pennsylvania, Westchester County, Rockland County, like everything that surrounds us, New York City, obviously. There is a 4.9 million unit shortage that already exists. Okay, that's a problem. That's definitely a problem. And the solution to that problem is builders to build more. But here's the thing: we just came out of COVID, where builders underdelivered, right? Not only did they underdeliver, and for good reason. I mean, a lot of them were coming down sick. The supply chain, which we've heard about, if you've tried to buy anything, right? A GPU, a car, anything that you've been involved in has probably been affected by the supply chain crisis that we had this year. And, building supplies was a big part of that. And when there's a supply chain problem and prices go up, right? So building costs have went up. So that's going to push the market up too. Okay. But I think that this year, now I don't remember the exact numbers. I don't have it in front of me. This is just kind of off the cuff, but it's the least new construction growth. It's the slowest growth of new construction in the United States in like 30 years. Okay. Housing demand is higher than it's ever been. Okay. Or at least it's higher than it's been since like modern MLSs. Okay. And we've had the least new construction in the United States in 30 years. Okay. So you can see that there's a supply and demand issue right there. Okay. Is the expectation for that demand to be satisfied with an increase in supply over the next 5 years? I don't think so, but we'll see. So there's already a housing shortage, and the only way to alleviate that shortage is not a realistic goal. And the way to alleviate that shortage is construction, and with construction costs increasing, okay, that's going to lead to some of that is going to be transferred to the buyer, okay, to the end consumer, which is the buyer. Number two, the market, since as far back as I can remember, or at least as far back as I've been a real estate professional, the market has been mostly influenced by Generation X. Okay, they've been the main buyers and sellers. Well, I guess when I first got into real estate, it was the baby boomers that were still selling off most of the real estate. But at this point, at least North Jersey, most of the transactions are happening with people who would be considered Generation X. And, everybody, we've always, like, when are the millennials going to wake up and start hitting the real estate market? And that's not a slight on them. It's just as a generation, when were they going to get active in the real estate market? Not saying that they weren't trying to get active. And that happened in a big way during COVID, right? That happened in a huge way. And there's a few reasons. So for the ones that could get pre-approved, okay, for the ones, I guess they would be more the managerial class, okay, of the millennial demographic. Out of that group, they had no transportation costs, right? They were continuing to work from home. Like we all live the Zoom nightmare. So they had no transportation costs anymore. That's just going into a bank account. They weren't out to dinner and out to bars every night like they were beforehand. Not everybody, but whatever. So that was savings. We've all laughed at articles online about, how dating was so difficult. And dating is a huge expense, right? Nobody's putting gas in their cars. Nobody, across the board, millennials really had a big opportunity to stash some money away. A lot of them got very into, GameStop and AMC became a meme in 2021. And, that woke a lot of millennials up into investing, I think. And I think that woke a lot of Gen X up to investing too, right? Like the Wall Street Bets community on Reddit, I think it like 10x'd in size in 2021. And this video is obviously for people who didn't get a Lambo out of GameStop to the moon. But with that being said, a lot of them did make money, right? And so there's a lot of fuel just to millennials saving or potentially making money on crypto, in those markets or GameStop, AMC, and that allowed some to purchase. And I think a bigger factor is when I talk to my agents on a day-to-day basis, there is a huge group of buyers out there with money coming from their parents. And when you've had a bull run in money markets the way we've had over the last few years, that empowered a lot more parents, empowered a lot more people to be able to sink money into their children's housing, right? Get them out of the rental rat race, get them within an asset that's going to appreciate, and give them an opportunity to start building some generational wealth that's, transferable generational wealth. Um, when you have a huge bull run and money markets are producing at such a high level, it gave an opportunity for this for many more parents to get involved in helping their children purchase a home. Okay, so that became a much bigger thing, at least than I was used to seeing beforehand. Um, and I think the last part of that is a big part of what fueled parents to want to do that is we're at a rental inflation, like a 40-year high, right? For like year over year rental inflation. The price of living in almost every neighborhood in North Jersey has gone up, and it's continuing to go up. Um, and with buyers buying homes for more money than they had been purchasing before, that's going to lead to greater demands on tenants for rent, right? Because trying to offset carrying costs, right? They're going to have a higher need for return. Um, so so this grouping of events. Sorry, like I got notifications popping in front of me, and it's distracting me. Um, this oh, this grouping of events, it's not going to go away in the foreseeable future. It's not, right. It's going to require, like, if prices were to come down at this point, you're looking at economic collapse, right? The housing market bubble, okay, bubble. Um, right now, there's not an indicator that says that prices are going to come down. Okay, so what we'd be looking at is an exterior force creating a market collapse that affects housing. Housing is massively resistant to this kind of stuff compared to almost anything else because the market is so great and the demand is constant, right? Like there's no opt out. There's no opt out right now. There's no buyers out there um, that are like, well, should I still live in a home or should I go live in a cave? Right? Like that's not a conversation that's happening. So there's no real opt out. Everybody lives in a home. Everybody. Now, not everybody owns them, but they're affected by the pricing of homes one way or another, whether they're a tenant or whether they're a buyer. Okay, an owner. So, until there's an opt out, until there's people that are like, no, I'm gonna fucking go sleep in a canoe on the lake. There's not going to be an alleviation to the demand. Okay, um, the fact that if you're making the decision between buying now in a hot market or sitting it out as a tenant, you're still going to pay increased costs for housing, right? You're still going to live in the same neighborhood, or if you're lucky, right? Um, and you're going to pay more one way or another. You may not have a rental increase coming this year, but it's going to happen over time, and you're also way more likely to be disturbed by having the home that you're in be sold, right? Is there a homeowner out there today that's not getting called by real estate agents every day of their life and being updated on what the value of that property is? Probably not. Their owners are more aware than ever of their property value, and they're watching it go to the moon. So a lot more are going to cash in. So you're still going to pay the higher price. You are way more likely to have a disruption to your life, right? And having your home sold as you're living in it is a major disruption. It's a pain in the freaking ass. So you're still going to pay the money, except there's no ROI on that, right? To be clear, there's no ROI on it. So when you're looking at trying to wait out a hot market, if you have a better option, move forward with the option. But if your option is to just wait until prices are higher and it's compounding on top of the pricing of today, that's not a great spot to be in. That's not a good spot. And lastly, um, I wanted to keep this under 10 minutes, but I'm at 15 now. So, lastly, what I'll say is a hot market's also a secondary opportunity, right? So it's not often that you can buy a home and watch it go up in price right away. People talk about, well, the market is on fire. Should I sit this out? And it's like, okay, so the market's on fire. So you close in March and the price goes up in April and May and June and July and August, September, October, November, and December. Right? Hot market, it's appreciating every month. That is a problem. That's a solution for like 99% of people out there, right? That's a solution. That is not a problem. That is a solution. Um, if the market wasn't hot and you were to close on a home, and now you're waiting for return, right? You're waiting for that home to appreciate over time. It's still, listen, that's real estate's function that way forever. That's still a win, but to be clear, that's not as good. That is not as good. Building wealth faster in your home is a solution. So yeah, I just wanted to put that out there. It kind of came up, and when you're in the midst of a conversation, you can't just railroad it in, to go deep into one little aspect. But so I wanted to put this out there, and if I hope it made sense to you guys.